So today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. Since my fairy loot videos have gotten easier and easier for me to make, the more I've started understanding the process and becoming more comfortable on camera, I thought I'd give it a try to do a book review on video. So for about a year now, every Friday I've been posting a book review on my book blog, which I put in the description of all my videos, including this one, if you want to check it out. And those reviews are usually centered around if I think this book would be safe to recommend to either a less advanced reader or younger reader. I start my review with trying to give warnings about stuff that might make somebody uncomfortable, and then I have an opinionated review after that. So first I start with a neutral summary, that way you can know if you even think you're gonna like the book or not, or the recipient is gonna like the book or not. It's much the same as what you would find on the back of a book or on the inside of a book jacket cover. Very non-spoilery, but still trying to inform you enough about the book so you'll know if you like it or not. And then the next two parts are kind of technical. There's the point of views. Are there lots of them, and what style are they in? Because I know that can kind of trip up a less advanced reader if you're following, say, like 7 people as opposed to just focusing on one thread the whole book. The next one is a kind of vague category just called adult themes. It's for any topic that I think might make somebody uncomfortable, or you might want to talk to a younger person about it before they read it in the book, kind of thing. The next two topics, though, I feel like can be helpful to anybody regardless of your reading level, and that's the violence component and the romantic component. Sometimes some people don't have the stomach for or the want to read something really gory or really sexy, so I try to put a little bit of a warning of what I feel like is the most intense moment in both of those sections. That way you can know if that's something that you would feel comfortable reading or not, or again, the recipient of the recommendation would feel comfortable reading or not. And then next, I just do my opinionated summary, either thoughts that I've had about the book that didn't really fit in anywhere else, or just overall if I liked it or not, and what I liked and what I didn't like. And then the last thing is a too long didn't read. So I guess it would be a too long didn't watch if I put it in the video. Don't know how helpful that would be, seeing as how would you know it's there unless you watch the video. Anyway, it's on the review, it's just 2 sentences on 1, if I think it's worth reading or not, and 2, where I think the reader level is. But again, that's unique for everybody. That's why I write these sections so that you can decide if it's worth you reading or not, or if you feel comfortable reading it or not, or if it's worth recommending to a friend or somebody younger in your family or something like that. So now that you know the structure, let's get started on the book with the neutral review. Okay, so the book I'll be reviewing is Star Daughter by Shveta Thakrar. We follow Sheetal, who's half-star on her mother's side, but unfortunately her mom had to ascend back into the sky when she was about 7 or 8. Since then, she hasn't been able to learn anything new about her star heritage or what it means to be a star, other than she has to keep it secret at all costs. It becomes a lot harder to do, however, whenever weird things start happening. So she tries to seek out her mom to get some answers and help her out. And to do that, she has to ascend into the palace in this night sky, and there's lots of beautiful prose. But Sheetal is very surprised to find out that she was expected. There's a big contest going on, and she's expected to compete in it. So we follow her throughout the book as she struggles with this competition, with what it means to be a star, with what it means to be a human, and trying to help out her family all along the way. Alright, so to quickly work through some of the more technical points, there's only one point of view. It's a third-person voice that focuses solely on Sheetal. So the book has different sections throughout her journey, and as we change different sections, we see a passage from Sheetal's diary told in the first person. But otherwise, everything's third person, and either way, the focus is always on Sheetal. So the next thing is adult themes or like other social complexities. I would say that the biggest thing that this book focuses on in that regard is what it means to be human, that we err. It's in our struggles that we can really be together and flourish and have art and understand each other. I know sometimes when people point that out, it can seem kind of condescending and but are you sure wouldn't things be better if we just didn't mess up so much or feel so sad? But Thakrar is really good about framing it through the lens of artwork. So here are some benefits that we get to our points of sadness, as we get this deep and meaningful and evoking art. And that can be with lots of different art, not just paintings and stuff, but with music, with writing, stuff like that. Another theme that I felt like I saw was understanding your parents and other adults. I really noticed that like as a kid, I thought that, well not all, but most adults knew all the answers. And I remember especially thinking that about my mom, and it wasn't until I began to see her as her own person who's fallible and still makes mistakes that I really grew to appreciate her. And I feel like Shveta goes through a very similar journey. Her mother leaves her at a young age, so she has a lot of animosity towards her, but she slowly starts to see her mom as a complete individual, that she's made mistakes and she has regrets, and that there's no point in holding on to those, that how they can be a good and happy family together is if she tries to understand her mother and they work past it. And I think that that's really beautiful, because it's really easy to have a family spat and just write somebody off. But we all make mistakes, and I think that the more that we can understand each other and appreciate each other's points of view, the more likely we are to be friends at the end of a spat, as opposed to just writing somebody off and never talking to them again. That happens with friends and family sometimes. The next thing is romantic explicitness, which there isn't anything worse than a kiss in here. There's a moment where like they go to her and her love interest, because let's face it, there always are in young adult novels. They have a moment in the bedroom where they could get up to something, but they decide to take a nap instead. Or it at least very much seems like that. I guess if you really wanted to read into it that they got up to something, you could, but it's not very well founded, I don't think. They share a passionate kiss or two in that scene and in a later scene, but it's nothing too intimate, and the descriptions aren't too grody. Sometimes I hate it when people really focus on the love between these two characters. I'm like, stab. But anyway, the romance seems pretty tame, so if that's something that you're worried about, you wouldn't need to be worried about it with this book. So the next thing is the violence component. Again, there's not a whole lot of violence. The competition that they have is a talent show essentially, so no fighting there. I think the worst point that we see is there's a description of a star being captured and bled because their blood has special properties. And that's kind of a running theme throughout the book. Her family says that that's why they wanted her to keep it a secret that she was a star. Once she gets up to the realm of the stars, there's a lot of talk about being careful about that, and a lot of people are mad that like that event happened where a star was captured and bled. Of course, that's icky to hear about, somebody being caged and like cut to take their blood, but it isn't described too graphically, and it's really the only point of blood or violence at all in this book. There are no other points where anybody came to harm even. So again, that's another component that I feel like is pretty safe. Alright, and now I get to bore you with my opinion. Two of the big things that I liked about this book is, one, I like the chance to experience some more of like, I think it's like Hindu like mythology and whatnot. I love learning more about other cultures and getting to see like those traditions and stuff like that. But my favorite way to learn about another culture is learning about their mythology. The only problem though is that with this I felt like some things weren't explained quite as well. But like for example, I think it's the Apsara, and I apologize if I like mispronounce that. It sounds like a very like ephemeral, like maybe even like elemental creature, but I don't know. I'm not like told that, I'm just told that they're like shockingly beautiful. But like that's it. And I mean there's some other ones though that she does fantastically. Like I think it's a Vital. That she just has like the 2 lines of description for if you didn't already know what that creature was, now you know. It's like a spirit, I think, that possesses like a corpse. So there you go. 2 sentences, not even 2 sentences, like 1 sentence. And you summed it up for those of us who don't already know what that is. I just, like I felt left out a lot. Like I was already supposed to know what those things are. And that's kind of frustrating because like I want to learn about it. And I mean, I guess I could always go look it up. I have the internet at my fingertips anymore, so does everybody else, but still, it's also not that hard to just put in 2 lines about what this creature is or what's going on, and then I can do the research later if I think it's really interesting. There was another little thing that I really liked, and again, almost all young adult novels have some element of romance to them, but I'm so tired of hearing like, and I saw him from across the room, and he smelled like apples, and I couldn't help but look at his lips. Fucking tired of this shit. I'm tired of hearing children fall in love repeatedly. I don't care. I don't care. But what was really nice about this is even though there were some gushy moments kind of like that, they were already dating. Before when the book starts, I think they've been dating for about a year. And that was just a little change, a little something small that made that romance a lot more palatable to me. Because we didn't have to hear about them falling in love and meeting and all that stuff. They'd been dating for a while. There was some love there. It just we saw it grow. We saw some of the feelings in her talking about how she couldn't help but think of him and stuff like that. And that's fine. And I think it's one of those things that I wouldn't be so annoyed with hearing about all these romances and all these gushy feelings if I didn't read about a book a week and hear this in every book. So I really like that was at least a little lessened in this because they were already dating. The other thing I liked is that the prose were really majestic and gripping. I did feel a little overwhelmed at times. There would be so many descriptions of all of these ornate and beautiful things. But I also kind of think maybe that's the point. Yes, she's half mortal and half star. I don't know if that's immortal per se, but definitely a little godly, a little mystical. But she grew up not really having many of those experiences, not knowing about all this magic and majestic stuff. And so, her first foray is she goes to this place called the night market. And there's just so much wonderful prose and description about all the different things and all the different stalls and all the different creatures. And yeah, I felt a little lost and I didn't have my footing, but I bet so did she. But those are really all the things that I thought that were unique. I liked the book. It was a good book. So my too long didn't read or too long didn't watch would be, this book is good. I would not probably recommend running out to the shop and buying it now to read unless you're part of this culture. I would say if you're part of this culture, maybe you'd be really excited to see some self-representation and would want to go out and buy this book. But for me, that stuff was fun to learn about, but there has to be other elements to make it a 5-star, gotta run out and grab it kind of book for me. So, two, as far as it being appropriate for younger readers, I didn't find anything that would bar somebody younger from reading it. Okay, so that was my review of Star Daughter by Shveta Thakrar. I think I'm gonna commit to doing one of these each month. I'm gonna stick with books that I've gotten from Fairy Loot for the time being, depending on how much I enjoy making these, how much you guys enjoy watching them. I might try and make more. But I think that'll come with comfort with video editing and comfort with being in front of the camera. So anyway, thank you so much for watching and indulging my little project. I hope you have a great day.